In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how I used DIYPaint and Iron Orchid Designs to transform this ugly old beat-up dresser into a fabulous, what I'm calling, modern farmhouse look. This dresser was the rattiest, dirtiest, grungiest. The varnish was coming off. The drawers were disgusting. I had to disinfect them. We had to sand down the finish on the top because it was bubbling up and it was crusty. And once we took off those layers of varnish or sealer, whatever they used, it was amazing, the transformation. Look at the top of this dresser. The wood was absolutely beautiful. I like to clean my hardware with vinegar, baking soda, and Blue Dawn liquid. I let it soak overnight or even for a few hours, and then I scrub off all of the crustiness. Look at how beautiful the hardware was. You would never have known it. To say that this dresser was a challenge would be an understatement. I cleaned it with TSP, and every time I wiped it clean, it was gumming up. The varnish was literally coming off, and it took me days to get it cleaned off. Part of prepping is making sure that your surface is nice and clean so that you can paint on it. I ended up having to take sanding sponge and get a smooth surface. I started painting with DIYPaint, Gravel Road, Skeleton Key, and Letterpress Gray. I always paint with the drawers inside, and I get a nice even coat of paint by using a little bit of water. I created a mixture of old school and little black dress and watered it down to create a wash that I've used on the outside of the drawers and the outside of the dresser. And then I blended the Gravel Road and the Skeleton Key in the middle. Once the paint was dry, I took a sanding sponge and lightly sanded it to get a nice even smooth texture. This is also where I like to take the drawers out and make sure I sand down the edges so that the drawers look nice and beautiful. And then I take a lint-free cloth or a shop towel and take all of the dust, because when you sand DIYPaint, it gets into a chalky, dusty finish. And so you want to take all of that off before you do your next step. In this case, I used DIYPaint Old and Grey Liquid Patina because I needed a sealer on this piece before the next step. So I have these Iron Orchid stamps, and they come in a sheet like this, and this particular one is called Rose Toile. And then I've got this other one, it's called Fleur. I created a little work pad for myself, and I used a brayer and I just rolled it. Let the brayer do the job, plop it where I want it, and once I plop it down here, I need to commit. And then you just kind of just tickle it a little bit all over. Then I'm just going to take my white and clean it off, because I don't want the clay, because I'm not using ink, I'm using my little black dress DIY paint. These are one of the new transfers by IOD. So when you buy them, they come in a tube. If you're interested, I can also ship them to you. But they're 24 by 33 and they're full color. They come in this tube, and then it comes rolled like this. There's a burnishing tool that comes with it. I was blown away to see it in person. So look how wide it is. And look how detailed. You could cut this any which way. You can cut this multiple ways. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to cut certain sections, and I'm going to apply just a section at a time. So you kind of can make this your own, and you can even, if you wanted, you can mix the transfers with other transfers and with the stamps like I'm doing now. Alright, so you never want to take this apart from the white until you're ready. And then once you have it where you want it, then you would just lay it down and apply it. And so that's what we're going to do. Hear that noise? It tells you it's coming up. It's releasing from the backing sheet. You can take the back of the transfer and burnish it down, or you can use a lint-free cloth. You do not want any bubbles. You want to make sure that the transfer is nice and adhered to your piece before you seal it. I'm just going to go backwards and forwards on the stamp. Now when I first get the stamp, I will, they recommend that you take a little bit of a 220, hey Connor, sandpaper, and just, you know, get it so that it's easy to work with, and so that the paint and the inks will adhere. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put this actually right over. It's a patina and top coat called Old and Gray, and this is actually what I faux stained the top of the dresser, which I'll show you later. And it makes it give it that barnwood old look, and so it has like a gray tone to it, so it looks really, really cool. And so I'm going to do this little one right here. So I do everything with the drawers intact, and that's something that my husband never could understand. And he was like, why are you painting with the drawers in? Because this is a piece of canvas and I'm painting on this, and I wanted to have cohesive look. So I put this transfer on, and I did it on purpose where it would flow from one to the next. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my finger, my nail, and just go like that and break it. I'm going to take the back of the transfer and I'm going to burnish it. And normally I would do it with my hands without a problem, but I just put lotion on and I forgot that you really shouldn't have lotion on your hands when you're touching the raw transfer. So see, now I can open the drawer. I applied a few more transfers and burnished them. I also created some stripes using blue painter's tape. I created some light stripes on the sides and a darker version on the front, and I think it looks fabulous. Here's the finished piece. This is what I'm calling modern farmhouse. It can be used in any home, in any room. I would love to connect with you. Visit me online at chalkitupwithlisa.com. I have devotionals, I have inspirationals, I have tutorials. I also have a shopping cart where you can purchase DIYPaint or Iron Orchid Designs. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever used Iron Orchid Designs, or have you ever used DIYPaint? Let me know what you think about this dresser.